That is how tired I was. I was completely out of breath from setting the camera up on a tripod. I needed to sit back down. So then I started explaining that this is the beginning of my KonMari decluttering project, and I had had it floating around in my mind for a while and decided it was the right weekend to start. I didn't have any plans, and I was feeling motivated to tackle it. It was really brought on by a powerful nesting urge and a need for a sense of control and direction over my life. And I wanted to find some clarity about what my priorities were now that my entire lifestyle had really radically shifted in just a couple of years. So I'm starting at the top, like recommended in the KonMari Method, with clothing. I'm always fascinated to watch people when they KonMari declutter, to have everything put in one place, because I feel like I have less than the average amount of clothing for someone in the US. I looked up the statistic. What is it? So most people in one survey had between 77 to 155 pieces in their wardrobe, with a few outliers in the 300 plus range. That's a direct quote from capsulewardrobedata.com. And so that averages out to 148 pieces, but that's the average, not the median. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that I ended up with fewer pieces than that. And I'm not really sure if that's counting all accessories like underwear, but I definitely do not have that many pants and shirts. That's actually one thing that was really clarified for me by doing the clothing decluttering, is that I would actually like to have more clothing. More specifically, I would like to have a stronger sense of personal style and express that. This was a good time to experiment because I had a few pieces just for maternity. I then tried to find maternity pieces that I could finish out my pregnancy with, but then continue to wear for breastfeeding. And then I had my clothes separated from breastfeeding friendly to those that I felt really confident that I would want to see again. I wasn't breastfeeding. So as I went through, I was organizing everything into bins, not only by season, but by whether or not it was going to be breastfeeding friendly for that coming fall and winter. And now I'm trying to refocus my wardrobe again now that I have a little more freedom, but still need, essentially toddler friendly clothes that still get really messy and still get spit up on even at 10 months old. But I've also felt more inclined to dress up. I think after spending so much time in just comfort clothing, just trying to get through the pregnancy, the pandemic, the long winter, I really want to wear more fun clothing, more pulled together clothing, and I'm into really feminine expressions right now. It's an ongoing project, really. The only shoes I put aside were the ones that were uncomfortable and leaving stains on my feet, those sandals. And I still have the Nikes with the hole in the mesh of the toe, and I would like to replace those. Most of our shoes are kept in this box on the 3-season back porch, but then more occasional shoes I do keep in my upstairs closet. We do not wear shoes in the house, so it's convenient to keep them all together on the back porch as we're going in and out of the house. We've got donate, we've got sell, or maybe donate, and trash. I combined clothing and books in this video because there's really not a lot of drama. I didn't do like a major purge in either category, because clothing is something that I routinely go through seasonally anyway. We have such different weather here that I do have separate wardrobe for winter and summer. So as I'm rotating things I'm always going through and letting go of things and figuring out what gaps I want to fill anyway. I don't mind having a lot of books, and we have plenty of bookshelf space. My rule of thumb for physical books generally is that I keep books that I would like to reread. I'm not a big rereader, but there are some that I have revisited a few years later, or that I like to go back and look up certain passages or information. And then also books that I loved and that I would like to lend out to friends. I love to loan people books. I thought about taking a shortcut here and not actually removing all of the books from the shelf, because I knew that there wouldn't be that many books that I wanted to give away. But I had not properly dusted the high shelves since moving in, and so it was good to wipe down all of the shelves, and there was quite a lot of dust hiding behind the books. Oh, there's my secret stash of chocolate. I want to clean the shelves anyway, so I went ahead and took down all of the books. I did kind of keep them in stacks by category, but part of the KonMari method is to kind of wake up the books, touch them, and thanking them for the information or the experience that they have given you. You are not supposed to stop and read your books. And so as I was rewatching this video, I was wondering, why am I spending so much time on that book, flipping through it? And I realized I was sitting there and reading it for quite a while. It is When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi, and it's tragic and also sweet. I was debating whether or not I wanted to keep it, was my reason for reading parts of it, but eventually I'm just reading it and like breaking down, sobbing. And now I'm breastfeeding while I go through. So it did feel good to go ahead and just use a baby wipe on basically every book, just wiping off dust or any whatever finger stickiness had gotten on them over the years. So the books that I have a hard time getting rid of are books that I really loved during a season of my life, but I don't really need them anymore, or I'm in a different season entirely. And so they're basically just like a memento of a period of time in my life, and I debate on if that's necessary or even really like if it is bringing me joy or if it's just clutter. Another kind of book that I have a hard time getting rid of is a book that I genuinely want to read, and just for some reason it has not started being read yet, or a book that was gifted to me is somehow more sentimental. I would have a harder time parting with a book that was gifted to me even than one that I had bought with my own money and not gotten to yet. So the way that I organize my books is both by genre and color. So I keep all of the books of a genre in a horizontal row, and within that genre, it's going in color order. And so that way my books are color blocked. So here they are, cleaned and organized. You probably can't tell with the color blocking. The point is, I love my books and I can always find the book that I'm looking for. Kicking off this KonMari series, I do think it's important to point out that the point is to learn more about yourself and to align yourself to where you are in your life right now and where you want to be headed. And so, in case you haven't heard other people with this takeaway, doing my clothes and then my books made me want more clothes and books in my life. It made me more aware of what is missing from my wardrobe and the direction that I want to move future wardrobe purchases in, as well as how I want to be perceived out in the world. And with books, I feel comfortable with my book collection. It didn't seem that dramatic, even though that was the only point in my decluttering process that I sat down and sobbed. So kind of funny, but thank you for speeding through this with me. Hit subscribe and I'll see you again soon. Hey, hey.